Chapter 57 Dong Jiangguo. Should I leave then? Her legs were fair, not just ordinary fair, but a delicate smooth fairness. Truly fair, truly long, and most importantly, perfectly proportioned like a meticulously carved work of art. This was nothing like the distorted long legs online influencers achieved with camera angles. Judging by her legs alone, they truly deserved the word perfect. At the very least, in both his past life and current one, Chen Yuan had never seen such beautiful legs. Chen Yuan swore he was only looking at those legs. With an appreciative eye, he just looked a little longer than usual. Dong Jiangguo Scow pulled Chen Yuan stoats and gazed back. If you were an adult, I'd let it slide after all. My daughter is really nice, but you're just a teenage kid. Why are you staring at my daughter's legs like that? Chairman Zhao Chen? This is my daughter Dong Wanyi, Dong Jiangguo said. Chen Yuan snapped back to his senses. When he looked up at her face, he froze again. Having nice legs was one thing. Everyone had their strengths after all. But why did her face have to be this beautiful too? Her bright clear eyes, with distinct black and white pupils, sparkled with vitality. Her oval face, referring to a soft, slender face shape, had none of the exaggeration of faces, yet it could easily outshine those artificial beauties. This had absolutely no resemblance to Lao Dong's squashed pumpkin-like face, with her exquisite features and perfect face shape. Even Chen Yuan, who usually kept his cool, couldn't help but feel his heart skip a beat. A random thought popped into his head. I feel like eating melon seeds. A playful association with her melon seed face shape. As someone who had once been an adult, Chen Yuan's gaze couldn't help but drift downward. She wore a white t-shirt that accentuated her curvy figure, and a short skirt that perfectly showed off her curves while covering the rounded tops of her thighs. Too bad she wasn't wearing black stockings. If she were. Dong Wanyi was also sizing up Chen Yuan. Is this the legend of the gaming industry? Just a good-looking young guy? But why does his expression and gaze make him look like a pervert? LSP, a common internet slang for le cherouse old pervert. Dong Wanyi's seedled eye brows furrowed slightly. The live stream chat had already exploded. Whoa! Are you sure this is my father-in-law's biological daughter? Netizens playfully called Dong Jiangguo father-in-law after seeing his daughter. I can already see the green grass on Lao Dong Shid, a Chinese idiom meaning being cheated on by one spouse. Stop talking about my father-in-law. Say that again and I'll fight you. Everyone move aside. I'm a die-hard fan of God Yuan. He can't handle a stunning beauty like this. For God Yuan's sake, I'm willing to sacrifice my youth. Let me take all this suffering. Have some shame, will you? None of you have ever seen a pretty girl before? Look at you perverts, so embarrassing. A goddess at this level is not someone you losers can even dream of touching. Only I deserve her. Only me. I want to play with her legs. I want to eat melon seeds. A joke referencing Chen Yuan's earlier melon seed face thought. Enough talking, I'm going to apply for a job at Yuan Shen Network. Father-in-law, don't let my wife be in the spotlight like this. Even the vote count jumped up a little. Dong Jiangguo coughed again. Chairman Zhao Chen? Ah, right. Chen Yuan finally pulled himself out of his daze at her breathtaking beauty. I lost my composure, really lost it, but it's normal for me to lose it, right? Girls can have crushes. It's not too much for a teenage boy to zone out for a second, is it? Miss Dong, please have a seat, Chen Yuan said. Dong Wanyi nodded and sat down on the chair opposite him, looking a little awkward. She placed her bag horizontally between her legs to seem more formal. Chen Yuan tugged at his collar and straightened his small suit again. Miss, may I ask your age? Dong Wanyi stared at him with those big eyes. This is supposed to be formal, but this question feels a bit inappropriate. Chen Yuan quickly corrected himself, a little embarrassed. What I mean is, how old are you, Miss Dong? 24. Dong Wanyi answered truthfully, graduating with a postgraduate degree at 24. Plus all those awards, she was definitely a top student back in the day. If my Donglai were like this, never mind, it just makes me want to cry. Miss Dong, do you have a boyfriend? Dong Wanyi froze on the spot. Did I walk into the wrong room? I thought I was here for a job interview. Why is he asking if I have a boyfriend? Dong Jiangguo was even more dumbfounded. Boss, you're interviewing my daughter for a job, not a blind date. Besides, this is a reality show being broadcast live across the country. Aren't you afraid my daughter will get in trouble with the authorities? I'm right here as her father. If you're going to act like this, should I leave then? Chen Yuan also realized the question was sensitive. He quickly added, our company has a rule: no dating during work hours, to avoid affecting work performance. Dong Jiangguo stared, confused. When did we have this rule? Chen Yuan smiled. Immediate last night. It takes effect today. If it doesn't work out, we'll abolish it. Dong Jiangguo had nothing to say. You're the boss, you're in charge. Dong Wanyi had a temper too. If the gaming market was NT, now dominated by Yuan Shen Network, leaving her with no other good options, she would have stood up and walked out on the spot. Even though she didn't leave immediately, her face had already turned cold. No, I'm single, she said. Chen Yuan nodded. Single is good. Freedom. The perverts in the live stream chat were howling. Ha ha. There's still a chance for me, Du Tianba. A netizen using a cocky nickname. The goddess is single. I'm willing to be her lapdog. You need qualifications to be a lapdog. None of you even qualify. How dare you compete with me? God, Yuan, the water's too deep when it comes to beautiful women. You can't handle it. Let Uncle do it. Uncle's online name is Yangtze River. I'm not afraid of deep water. Have none of you ever seen a woman before? One pretty girl and you all show your true colors. TS losers. I'm a man of integrity. I don't look at legs or faces. Bro, we get it, you're just like Cao Cao, historical figure known for being fond of beautiful women. No need to pretend. Seeing Dong Wanyi looking increasingly annoyed, Chen Yuan stopped teasing her. Miss Dong, I measure you already know a lot about our company. Vice President Dong told me about your background yesterday, but we don't tolerate nepotism here. So, I need you to prove your abilities. Dong Wanyi nodded confidently. She was in just a pretty face, she had real talent. No problem, I'm willing to start from the bottom, she said. Yuan Shen Network was truly the only decent option in the current gaming market. This was the best choice bar none. Chen Yuan smiled. We don't need you to start from the bottom right now. The marketing and promotion department is short of a director. Go there and give it a try. If you do well, you can stay. If not, or if I'm not satisfied. He didn't finish his sentence, but everyone understood what he meant. What he wanted to convey was, in this company, only ability matters, not connections. Nepotism won't work here. Dong Wanyi remained confident. No problem, she said. Chen Yuan then took out a prepared labor contract. After Dong Wanyi read it, she signed her name without hesitation. Chen Yuan stood up and held out his hand. Welcome to the company, Miss Dong. Dong Wanyi slightly bowed and shook his hand. The feel of her hand, smooth and delicate, was truly indescribable. Chapter 58, The Talent Competition. Held by the program team. Dong Wanyi frowned and pulled her hand back. She couldn't help but feel that the teenager in front of her didn't act like a teenager at all. Or rather, Chen Yuan had none of the shyness or awkwardness typical of someone his age. Maybe it was because he was so young, but Dong Wanyi didn't feel like she being taken advantage of. Dong Jiangguo quickly pulled his daughter aside. Wanyi, I'll take you to get familiar with your work. Dong Wanyi rolled her eyes at her father. Didn't I tell you not to call me by my nickname? The two walked out of the office. Chen Yuan shook his head and waved a hand in the air, as if trying to dispel the faint fragrance lingering around. Sai Lao Dong is so lucky. As he spoke, he leaned back in his chair, crossed his legs, and took out his phone. Being a boss was rather boring, especially for someone like him who just threw money around. His employees were all busy rushing about, leaving their boss with nothing to do. Chen Yuan was leaning back, watching a game live stream, when his phone suddenly rang. He recognized the number. It belonged to Zhang Zhen, the station director. Why is this old guy calling again? Chen Yuan glanced at the drone, then answered the call. Lao Zhang, what's up? The casual Lao Zhang made Zhang Zhen freeze for a second on the other end. Then he let out a bitter laugh. Given how Chen Yuan acted in the live stream every day, it was no surprise he'd call him that. Chen Yuan. After a discussion with the program team, we're holding a talent competition tomorrow. The 3 contestants will perform on the same stage, and it will be broadcast live on TV. Make sure you're prepared, Zhang Zhen said, getting straight to the point. About the team's arrangement, Chen Yuan uncrossed his legs. The program team had 2 channels for broadcasting the reality show. 1. The official live stream, which ran 24/7, only pausing or playing ads when the 6 main cast members of the reality show were resting. 2. Television, CCTV couldn't broadcast 24/7, so they edited clips together every week and aired a 1-hour segment during prime time on weekends, with Liu Ping providing commentary and updates. But this time, CCTV was actually adding adult competition segment and broadcasting it live. This was something that would never have happened in the early stages of the show. Did the program team think the teen survival part wasn't exciting enough? So they want to add more challenges for the kids, while boosting viewership and influence? It was quite possible. Besides, this was actually a good thing for Chen Yuan. He still needed more reputation points for his 10 consecutive draw. If he could get more exposure through this event, his reputation points would definitely skyrocket. After thinking for a few seconds, Chen Yuan stood up from his office chair. Lao Zhang, what's the program team playing at? Isn't this kind of thing usually for the final vote pulling segment? Why are you moving it up now? Don't tell me you want to end the reality show early? He really didn't hold back with his questions. Zhang Zhen instantly tensed up. Dude, this is still a live stream. There are tens of thousands of people watching your room. How can you say something like that so casually? No, don't overthink it. This is just a competition between the three of you teens, and it's not for nothing. Whoever wins gets an extra 1 million yuan in prize money. Second place gets 500,000 yuans. And third place gets nothing extra. The prize money will be counted and given to you all at the end of the show. Zhang Zhen didn't sound very confident as he spoke. After all, Chen Yuan was already worth a fortune. He would probably look down on a measly million yuan. But for the sake of the show's success, boosting viewership and attracting more sponsors, he had no other choice. Chen Yuan had just been teasing him. He knew when to give someone a way out. Oh, there's prize money? All right, I'll be there on time tomorrow. Zhang Zhen let out a huge sigh of relief on the other end. Chen Yuan was the hardest one to deal with among the three. There was a good chance he would even care about a 1 million yuan prize. Luckily, he'd agreed. Next, Zhang Zhen needed to contact Wang Mantong, contestant number 2, and Li Zuer, contestant number 3, and the little girl had no issues with the arrangement either. Chen Yuan hung up the phone, then leaned back again with his legs crossed. Tomorrow, I'll go to CCTV studio for a face-to-face vote-pulling session. I definitely need to show off, otherwise how will I get more reputation points? But the key question is, what kind of performance will make the audience like me the most and earn me a ton of reputation points? He shook his head, then took a sip of tea. Opening the stock trading app on his phone, he checked his fully invested stocks. The stock price had now risen to 5.89 yuans, and it was still a strong daily limit today. It had hit the daily limit on time every day this week. There was no room for any operations at all, and anyone who wanted to buy in couldn't get a chance. Chen Yuan's die-hard fans were over the moon. They made profits every day and could cash out in just a second if they wanted to. But only an idiot would cash out now. Who knew how high this stock could soar if they held on to it? The only thing his fans regretted was not buying more shares. It was that they didn't want to, they just could and get their hands on any more back then. After checking the stock market, Chen Yuan closed the app. There was no point in staring at it. With nothing else to do, Chen Yuan finished his tea and stood up. Yu Yu was in a good mood today. After all, someone had taken over the marketing and promotion work. Now she only needed to focus on her original job as a graphic designer. She was picking up a coffee when she happened to see Chen Yuan walking in. Yu Yu raised an eyebrow. Chairman Zhao Chen, what are you doing here? Chen Yuan let out an "oh" and glanced at Yu Yu's legs. Her work outfit paired with black stockings looked pretty good. Just looking around. Yu, aren't you afraid of catching a cold wearing such short skirts every day? Yu blew on the steam from her coffee cup, looking at her boss out of the corner of her eye. What do you know, you little kid? I'm going for a sexy vibe. So what if I'm a kid? Can't I know things? Chen Yuan shook his head. If you're so sexy, why don't you have a boyfriend? He really knew how to hit her where it hurt. Yu huffed in annoyance. Obvious lie. Because those stupid men have no taste. Stupid men with no taste? Their eyes are sharper than you think. Chen Yuan walked toward the office area, saying as he went, wear less makeup. You put so much on every day that your face looks like a monkey's. But who dared to talk to you? Yu followed him, venting all her frustration. And whose fault is that? I already had pimples on my face, and working overtime these past few days gave me 4 or 5 more. You still say I wear too much makeup. How else am I supposed to face people if I didn't? Chen Yuan was at a loss for words. You can't face people without makeup, right? From now on, you'll have plenty of time to take care of that smooth and tender little face of yours. Chapter 59 Wandering Around. Casually extra update. When the two reached the office door, Chen Yuan suddenly asked, how about that old Dong's daughter? Yu was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, she's okay. The handover has been completed, and she looks quite ambitious. She paused for a little while, then continued, old Dong is quite unattractive, but his daughter is extremely beautiful. She's almost as good looking as me. As she spoke, she also touched her own face. Chen Yuan was left speechless for a moment. I admit I have mild myopia, but I'm not blind. After wandering around for a bit, Chen Yuan slipped straight into the adjacent marketing department. As a leader, he naturally had a certain air of authority. When the employees saw the boss come in, they all sat up straight and typed on their keyboards with a rapid pa-pa sound. One guy even typed with a sense of rhythm. Chen Yuan walked behind this guy and patted him on the shoulder. What a waste you are. You should be playing the piano instead of typing here. After saying that, Chen Yuan walked into the supervisor's small office. Dong Wanyi was sitting in front of the computer, staring intently, as if she was deep in study. Chen Yuan walked quietly to the opposite side of the desk, sat down on the chair, propped his head up with one hand, and looked at her furrowed, worried face. A few seconds later, Dong Wanyi gently rubbed her temples. Suddenly, she noticed someone sitting in front of her and was startled. You. She saw clearly. It was Chen Yuan. Dong Wanyi glared at him and said angrily, "Are you mute? Can't you even say something when you come in? Wow! Does she have no respect for the boss at all?" Chen Yuan smiled and said, "I saw you were working, so I didn't want to disturb you, but I also didn't want to leave just like that, so I had to wait here. It just so happens that I can take this chance to admire the most beautiful scenery in the world." As he spoke, he looked at Dong Wanyi with deep eyes. Dong Wanyi immediately felt a mix of amusement and exasperation. This kid is way too precocious. He's 7 trying to hit on girls. It shows that his methods and words are a bit outdated. Dong Wanyi propped herself up on the desk, narrowed her beautiful eyes and said, "Chairman Chen JRB, you didn't come here just to say these irrelevant things, did you?" Chen Yuan touched the fine fuzz on his chin. It seemed that this fuzz had shown signs of thickening recently. Miss Dong. The main reason I came here is to see if you have any difficulties or tricky problems, Dong Wanyi said with a hint of helplessness. Chairman Chen JRB, you have to give me time to get familiar with the work. Besides, the marketing and promotion work here requires a lot of attention to detail. I also need time to make plans. Chen Yuan quickly said, "I understand. It's fine. Take your time to get familiar. I didn't mean to rush you." After saying that, he coughed and cleared his throat. I didn't know what's wrong lately. Could it be that my Adam's apple is developing? My throat always feels dry. Dong Wanyi glanced at the water dispenser nearby and said, "Do you want a glass of water?" "Thank you." She stood up helplessly, walked to the water dispenser in her high heels. She took a disposable cup from the cabinet nearby, then turned to get water. Chen Yuan crossed his legs, propped his chin, and began to appreciate the beautiful scenery with an artistic eye. Well proportioned. She looks like she'd be good at bearing healthy sons. Dong Wanyi turned around and handed the water to Chen Yuan. He took it and drank it all in one go. Alas, it's gone in one sip. As he spoke, he held out the cup, obviously meaning for Dong Wanyi to get him another one. Dong Wanyi had vaguely figured out his intention. Seeing that he was trying the same trick again, she slammed her hand on the desk, her face turning cold, and said, "The water dispenser is right next to you. If you want to drink more, go get it yourself." After saying that, she returned to the other side of the desk. Then she started handling her work as if no one else was there. Chen Yuan was rebuffed and felt a little embarrassed. He withdrew his hand and said, Suddenly I'm not that thirsty anymore." After saying that, he threw the cup in his hand into the small trash can and meter away. Dong Wanyi, who was busy with her work, didn't pay him any attention. Chen Yuan let out a couple of awkward laughs and said, "I'll go check out the other departments." When he reached the door, he turned his head to look. Dong Wanyi was still dealing with her work and didn't look up. Chen Yuan smacked his lips, then walked out of the office. Only after his figure disappeared did Dong Wanyi glance towards the door. "This kid is way too precocious," he even trying to take advantage of me. After coming out of Dong Wanyi's office, Chen Yuan wandered around casually for a while, then went back to his own chairman's office. He had just made himself a cup of tea when Dong Jiangguo pushed the door in. Chairman Chen JRB, the matter of renaming our company has been taken care of. It had to be said that this guy was quite efficient. Chen Yuan had told him about it just yesterday, and he had gotten it done today. Good, sit down and have a cup of tea. Dong Jiangguo agreed, sat down opposite Chen Yuan and said, coincidentally, I also have some things to report to you. Chen Yuan didn't urge him. Instead, he poured a cup of tea and placed it in front of Dong Jiangguo. It was until Chen Yuan picked up his own cup that Dong Jiangguo picked up his. After drinking the tea, Dong Jiangguo glanced at the drone in the sky, then lowered his voice and said, the members of the development team have all been assigned. This is an experienced team. Each member has at least 12 years of work experience. Chen Yuan had asked old Dong to recruit programmers for the development team. After all, he was always coming up with new games. If the company didn't even have a game development team, it would seem unreasonable. Chen Yuan nodded. As long as the development team is set up, that's fine. I can just assign them some tasks and give them a general direction to work on. Whether they can actually produce anything isn't important. The main thing is to let this studio serve as a smokescreen for me. Good, that's great news. Tell them to start working on the things he assigned. Hurry up with it nowadays. The competition for market share is extremely fierce. If we don't speed up, we'll end up being overtaken by others. Since we've already set up the team, we might as well keep these people busy. At the very least, they should look busy to outsiders. As for things like speeding up and not being overtaken, that's used to create a sense of urgency. After all, ever since PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds PUBG came out, the entire game market has been revitalized. In the current gaming industry, these people might not be that good at creating original works, but when it comes to copying and modifying existing ones, they're definitely all experts. Chen Yuan had already heard the news that several studios had started working day and night to copy Battle Royale games. He estimated that in another month or so, all kinds of shoddy lie-made shooting games would hit the market. Games with names like Desperate Survival, Absolute Survival, The Survival of Desperation, and so on. Dong Jiangguo agreed. Okay, I'll arrange for it right away. After saying that, he stood up, ready to leave. Chen Yuan waved his hand and said, wait a minute, how's the cafeteria doing? Dong Jiangguo quickly said, the cafeteria is all set up in every aspect. We've hired the chefs and kitchen assistants. Our employees should be able to have meals at our own company cafeteria starting tomorrow noon. Chen Yuan nodded and said, once the cafeteria is officially up and running, we must offer a variety of dishes. We can't skimp on small expenses and end up ruining big things. Understood. After saying that, Dong Jiangguo turned around and left. Chen Yuan poured Ed himself another cup of tea, ignoring everyone else.